Do. I wonder how it looks with me also using this. Oh god, I sound bad. Wait, that's how I normally sound. Hey, got him. What? Is that a good joke? Me only you can set me free. Cult of personality. Probably should put some music on for me. How do I look? I look exactly average. Cool. It's just no. I want Pokemon Black and White OST. Why not? If this gets me done, it gets me done. I don't care. No, I don't want to hear about CD keys and the fact that you can buy Game Pass with it for cheaper. What? No, I don't want to care. I don't care about Pure Gym and the fact that you can get 50% off and no joining fee and that you shouldn't miss it out. I'm giving them free advertising because I'm technically seeing the advert and I thought, why not? Oh, and CD keys again, where you can buy day one, play zero extra. Perfect. Boom, bow, right, now let's put myself on streamer mode so that I don't dox my friends. And then I guess let's try and open this and see if it works with the game capture. It's like a 50-50 shot. I probably should have checked before I opened the game. Cool, didn't work. It worked! Never mind, I'm a genius. Anyway, plan today. Simple plan. We did pistol last time. We did hard mode on pistol, I remember that. So now we're going to try out shotgun. We're going to try it a couple times. Then we're obviously going to figure out that it's not working in some capacity. I will blame something, probably the game, not myself. And then we'll try a different thing. Something I feel like a bit more confident with. But we'll start off with shotgun. And we're keeping all of these. Wait, was I trying on nightmare or hard? I've said hard. You know what? I'm changing it to nightmare. We're trying on nightmare. There, that's better. Because why not? If I'm trying this thing, I'm gonna try it on the hardest difficulty you physically can get, you know? By the way, I'm further back, and I know that's weird. The reason why I'm further back is because I'm also using this sort of like, I don't know what you'd call them, like mini pedal things that allow me to just sort of pedal while I'm playing. I'm probably immediately going to get annoyed with this thing, because it also is slightly hurting me every time I do a rotation, which isn't fun. But I figured while doing this, I may as well also just, whenever I feel like it, do revolutions on this pedal thing. It only cost me like 35 quid, which is, it's both a lot and also not a lot. Like, I feel like I'm a bit of a weird person, because on one hand I was like, yeah, I'll pay 35 quid to try out this pedal thing, which I might just never use again. But then I saw there was like 2 games for 10 quid that were like, so it was 3 games for 10 quid that were all roguelikes that I was vaguely interested in. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to pick those up. That's too expensive, too rich for my blood. But that's the kind of person I am. stupidly weird for no reason. Anyway, we probably should talk about what we did last week, because I don't think we even did that last time. Oh, I immediately took damage. I actually think this is bad, and therefore should be deleted. Oh, what a soundtrack. Bow, 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 bow. But yeah, so what happened was, we played some Magic the Gathering on Monday. Nothing really relevant to mention there. The more important thing is, last Wednesday, we completed Baldur's Gate. It was the 44th episode, or 44th, I guess, session. Each one of them being at least 2 hours long, if not, like, effectively 2 hours long. And some of them, I swear, especially early on, I just felt like going for longer, and I would go for longer. But yeah, 88 hours playing that. I don't regret anything. Well, nah, that's a lie. I've been looking up spoilers now that I've finished it, which I'll be honest, I was slightly doing throughout the whole game. Just because I didn't want to mess up anything majorly, you know? And I'm kind of annoyed that there's effectively no good ending for Karlash. The way that you save her from not just blowing up is like one of like 2 ways. Either you go, hey, I guess one of 3 ways technically. You either go, yeah, let's pick this up. You either go, turn into a Mind Flayer like I chose. By the way, spoilers for Baldur's Gate, specifically Karlash, when I'm saying this. There's 3 ways that you can save her. Either... I think we won damage. Either you turn into a Mind Flayer like I did by giving her the thing that allows you to do that. Or you don't give it to her. You give it to literally anybody else. And then you have to deal with her going back to Avernus, or effectively hell, any layer of hell, and just sort of living a life in hell, which I'm not even talking about like figuratively, I mean literally just live her life in hell. And there's hope. She says she might have an idea of how to stop it, but you're still just going like, oh, you're still just living in hell though, aren't you? So it's that one's not that great of a one either. I already know I'm losing. And then the final way you do it, which I could argue is not really even a way, is that you give her... Well, you choose her as your main guy, and then you give her the absolute power. In which case she just rips out the blimmin' hearts because she doesn't need it anymore. Which is a badass thing. And surprisingly, I was told, it's the only time that in an evil... When you take in the absolute, it's the only time in which the character itself has voice lines, which I think is supposed to represent the fact that objectively the goodest boy, or the goodest girl, the goodest person... Okay, I lost. This is going to keep happening, by the way. Objectively, the goodest person has fallen to evil, and so they thought they'd give her something bespoke. Yeah, it's kind of sad. I thought there would be something related to combining the Infernal Iron and, like, finding somebody that can produce a limiter or something, or at worst making it so that, like, the soul coins can be used to keep her alive in this area more. I don't know. Yeah, let's take this again. I think Ricochet is good. Yeah, it is. So yeah, I was a bit sad about that, but overall, other than that, I didn't regret taking all that time playing that game. I'll be completely honest, there was like a 50-50 shot that today was going to be me playing more Baldur's Gate, but trying out some of the mods now. Trying out the, what was it called? The Trials of Tav, where it turns into a roguelike game where you get teleported through dungeons and stuff. Because I thought that would be really cool, and it would be a bit more of like a casual experience, less story to it. So I thought it'd make sense for it to be here. But I decided against that just because I was I don't know, I felt like playing this game when I was looking at sort of my list of games to play. But yeah, I mean, I already have the game we're going to be playing on Wednesday picked out and downloaded. I haven't tried to see if it actually works. What's the word I'm thinking of? To see if it actually works and can run while I'm streaming. Because if it can't, I mean, I'll try lowering the quality, obviously, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I can sort of come up with a backup, but it would be a bit annoying. I'm just sort of holding out hope, if I'm being completely honest. I've got a feeling that it can't be that much more intensive than Baldur's Gate was, right? And we got through Baldur's Gate with, like... I think there was a couple of loading problems where, like, stuff wouldn't load in quickly. And a couple of times where it took a bit longer to load than you'd hope for. But, like, generally it was fine. At least I felt like it was generally fine. So I don't know. I'm less worried about that than I originally was. Sort of when I realised that, oh wait, you've done games before and you've been fine. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We do not have the damage that we should have. But I guess I'm just so used to playing on the lower difficulties, so actually being in these situations where they've tripled the health of like most enemies. In fact, I think they've tripled the health of all enemies. It's just something I'm not used to as much. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit worried I might not like it. I'm a bit worried it's going to be too hard. But I said the same thing when I started playing literally every other game I played on a Wednesday. Because I guess that's just my default setting when it comes to these. Is that I just assume that I'm not going to be good enough to play them. And it's not just like a woe is me thing. It's just that I have played some... I've tried playing some sort of like turn-based RPGs and stuff. And it's a lot of the time when you get equipment which buffs one thing and nerfs the other thing. You know, when it's not like a strict bonus, it's like, oh no, this buffs like your attack but lowers your defense, or buffs your speed but lowers your blimmin', I don't know, magic. When I'm in that situation, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to play this, especially when it's ones where it's really obvious that there's more specific roles to each of the guys. Like, I know what people would be like. It's like, oh wait, hold on a second. Specific roles in a game. It's called an RPG. Obviously, things have roles to them, right? And I understand that. Like, that's not what I'm trying to get at with this. What I'm trying to get at is like, when it's a situation where like, for example, like, let's take Baldur's Gate for example. Obviously there's roles in that, there's the different classes and like different ways they had built each of them. Karlash was more the tank slash strong DPS. I was just pure DPS glass cannon. Will was just there, if we're being completely honest, but he was a bit of a debuffer and also like a secondary tank. And then obviously you had Shadowheart as the healer slash sustain damage. And so there was obviously roles there, but what I more mean when I'm talking about that is I'm talking like, okay, no, this, because Shadowheart, for example, she was our healer, but she couldn't only heal. You know, like, she had other stuff she could do, and it wasn't reliant on her clicking the heal button every turn. Like, when I look at Persona games, for example, I look at it and go, oh, there's these insta-death abilities, there's this, there's that, there's, you know, there's all this different things, and I'm like, I can't figure that stuff out. I want to be able to, even if the resistance to fire is huge, I still want there to be a chance that if I use a fire ability and I focus heavily into fire, that I can actually kill something, you know? I want the kid gloves on, not the kid gloves off. I need kid gloves, because my intelligence is, when it comes to strategies like this, especially when I'm playing them casually, and talking at the same time, and like not going into it with the assumption of challenge, I want it to be baby level, because I'm going to be running entirely on instinct. Like, I guarantee, when I'm playing a game and I'm fighting a boss, if I don't kill the boss in the first run, that's when my brain turns on. That's when I go, okay, maybe I need to learn the mechanic, you know? Especially in action RPGs. I mentioned this on Twitter, but I played the, what's it called? The South of Midnight game. Do I click this one? Or do I click this one? We're clicking this one. I played the South of Midnight game, which seems like it's very much the sort of like old style, linear sort of single player game. The reason I call it old style is not because as a derogatory thing. I just genuinely think that these things were a hell of a lot more popular back in the day. And it's not as popular as it was before. I still think they're genuinely quite popular. It's just many people go open world now when they're doing an action thing. But yeah, I played through some of that, and there were some basic enemies where if I didn't put 100% of my effort into trying to dodge them, I wouldn't be able to dodge them. And I was playing on normal, like it wasn't as if I was playing on particularly hard. Or like, I wasn't trying to nerve myself in some capacity, but there'd be like a boss, or like not even a boss, like an enemy whose whole shtick is that like they're like a hive, and they shoot stuff out, like they shoot insects out, and then these insects are effectively suicide. They're bombs, effectively. They're flying bombs that run at you, and then they beep a couple times and they blow up, right? And you have an ability to pick one up, throw it at the enemy, right? Very, 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 what's the word? Very, 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 very normal, right? These kinds of things are normally in these kinds of games. I had a real problem trying to, while fighting, be able to time my shot to actually pick up one of those things. And many times I died actively looking at the guy, watching him do the projectile attack, thinking, I'm ready for this, and then just completely failing. No. Well, no. This one's good, though. But yeah, like, that kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I'm like, this is why I always need kid gloves on, especially in action stuff. So there's always that worry, and I haven't looked at anything because I want to go into this as blind as I physically can. Which, you know, means, on one hand, yes, the story, I'm not going to know anything about the story. I don't even know what the characters look like. But on the flip side, it means I can't look up what the systems in place for, like, upgrading equipment is, or, like, leveling up your character, assuming they even have that kind of stuff. Could up my movement speed by 20%. That's just not good. And that actually is just a bad rate for me. Is this good? It lowers my fire rate even more. But it ups my damage by like a significant boost. It means that we're almost back to what we were before. I think that's worth. But yeah, like, I'm slightly worried about that. Because it hasn't happened yet, obviously, with Rogue Trader and Baldur's Gate. But it's always at the back of my mind because it's... I never want to end a series because I just can't figure out the way to continue. If I don't like the game, I don't like the game, right? It's a whole other thing. If I'm not having fun, I can logic that away of like, oh, if I'm not having fun, then I'm not like showing... I'm not giving a good time to everybody because I'm not having fun, so it's coming across to everybody else, right? I can understand that. But when it's like, oh no, I can't figure out how to continue playing this because I'm obviously missing a major mechanic or something. That's the sort of thing that I'm like, I never want that to happen. Because to me, that's just like a, oh no, it's literally you just don't understand what's happening. Instead of it just being like what I consider a bit more of a valid reason to sort of stop playing it. So hopefully that doesn't happen on Wednesday. But I'm probably overreacting when it comes to this stuff, and it'll probably be fine, but we'll see. In terms of in this actual game, but just getting back onto the actual game we're playing, I don't think we've got the damage that I want at the moment. But there's not much I can do in that aspect. I mean, this is a cone-shaped one, right? I don't think this one's useful. We'll pick the ballistic tips up, though, just to increase our fire rate. God damn it, I walked back into that. But yeah, we're also getting pretty close with FF14. In terms of the actual, like, expansion, like, I can confidently say, and I know I've been saying this confidently, quote-unquote, for the past couple weeks, but I can confidently say this is the final boss. This has to be the final boss. There's no way it isn't. And so this should be the end of the main expansion next session. And if that happens, great. It means that we can either do the patch quests. I would like to go back and do a bit more of the blue quests because they seem cool. But maybe I won't do that on stream because I don't know how fun that is to actually watch. But I definitely will do that at some point before getting rid of the subscription. But yeah, we with that one we know exactly what we're going to be we're playing next. It has always been Guild Wars 2. In fact, it might have been Guild Wars 2 that we would have been playing instead of FF14 before. But we decided against that. I'm saying it as if it's a consensus. I just decided I wanted to play through the latest expansion. Because I'd been putting it off for so long. That one's bad. That's literally it. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna feel like it's a completely new era because we'll have switched both of the longest running games to something new. And in my opinion, like, it's weird to say this, but especially for the Wednesday streams because they've been like the most consistent ones. They've been there for the longer of the two. The Wednesday streams, every time the long form RPG that we're playing finishes, it very much feels like, okay, that's an era of me streaming that we're through now. Okay, there was the era, the starting era of the Rogue Trader era. There was the middling era of me playing Baldur's Gate, and now we're going to be going over to whatever era the blimmin' Wednesday, the next game will be on Wednesday. Also, middling doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like, oh, it wasn't very good. It's just me going, oh, well, that was now in the middle because we're going on to something else. That will be... It won't be the end. Well, hopefully it won't be the end. Hopefully I haven't decided that I'm giving this up by the end of that. But I don't know what I'm saying really anymore when it comes to this. 2 fewer get more damage. 6 more get less damage. Shooting enemies that are on fire. Nope. I'll take the shoot fewer. I think shoot fewer is fine. Because we're just technically back to the 4 that we shot before. Except the 4 that we shot before have been condensed. And then shot in sequence, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. It's weird to look back and think of like how I was feeling when I started Baldur's Gate to how I am now and what's changed in that time. Because in the general scheme of things, especially as I'm getting older, it's not a long time. It was like half a year probably, but like, you know, when you get older, half a year is like you blink and it's been half a year kind of thing. But it's, I don't know, I think it's been notably different. I hope it was fun to watch. It was... I always felt like, especially when it came to the puzzles, that it might have been a bit frustrating to watch. And that might have been one of the reasons why, at the start, I was a bit apprehensive of looking stuff up. And then the longer I went on, the more I was like, I can just look stuff up. It's not that big of a deal. Because I can't imagine how long it would have taken for me to figure out um, the judge one. If I hadn't looked stuff up. I don't know if you remember that one. It was like, there was this guy who got caught for stealing. And he got caught for stealing, but he was giving it to like an orphanage. And it's like, oh, what do you do in terms of punishment? And what it was like, there was this judge, but he was like this weird, like, evil-looking spectre. I was like, how do you judge this person? The answer is, in my opinion, was very weird. Because what it wanted you to do was, it wanted you to kill the, banish the guy, which I know is like, oh look, you just said he looked evil. I know he looked evil, but like, I don't inherently think like, oh, they look evil, therefore that must mean that you're supposed to kill them. Like, to me, that doesn't track as like a logical, what's the word? Like a logical jump in conclusion. This would make me go up to... no, that wouldn't actually be that good. This gives them a chance to fire a bullet in a random direction on death. But it knocks my cone down. I think we'll just pick this one up. I think enemy speed and enemy spawn rate is fine. But yeah, I think that could have been another one of those ones where we're there for a whole stream kind of thing. I said this in the Baldur's Gate stream when it actually happened, but I will say that I found the final boss to be kind of like, I'm gonna say like weirdly easy and boring. Now, if you looked at it, you'd be like, hold on a second, a couple of your guys were low health when you won. Yeah. But I had like 4 major healing potions on me that can effectively bump somebody up to near enough full health. And the whole fight wasn't... It was a weird gimmicky fight, which I understand why they did, because... I mean, I've been reading some like r/D&D, and that's literally how they say, if you've got an incredibly powerful build, a group that has incredibly powerful builds that you still want to challenge, you make the challenge that you have to do something. You make it an objective, not to be like kill everything, but to maybe kill something in a certain way, or to maybe to stop a ritual or something, you know, that kind of thing. Maybe kill them quickly because they might alert more people. It's those kinds of things, right? But I don't know, it didn't feel like this epic fight against this like incredible boss. It felt like a bunch of like decently powerful ads that were there for you effectively to ignore while you beat up the boss, this defenseless boss that you can just kill in like... I killed it in 2 turns, but I think if I did it correctly, I think I could probably have killed them in 1 turn with my paladin. And admittedly, obviously the paladin's one of, if not the strongest, what's the word? Strongest, like, just straight up DPS classes, right? So I can understand, like, oh, well, that's why. I don't like these debuffs. We're gonna delete Wind Up Strike. Oh, do we take this? What does it end into? Every 7 kills will drop a light orb. Well, let me take... Okay, yeah, let's go this way. But yeah, I don't know. It was a bit disappointing as a fight. The kind of fight I was hoping for was very much like what was the name of the Chosen of Merkel in the Moonrise Tower? That's the sort of one I was thinking of, because that one's the whole shtick of that one is like there are minions. Obviously, there are minions that are doing damage. There's minions that are trying to melee you. There are, like, there's mind flayers there. There's, I believe, a couple of cultists. But, like, he has his first phase where he's this incredibly, like, powerful, paladin of Merkel. Oh, we're evolving. And then that's obviously a scary fight, but like you can just sort of like you can eventually get through it, and then he hits his second phase where he literally becomes this giant sort of I guess embodiment avatar of Merkel. And he's just this really cool fight, and like that fight also didn't last very long, but it felt like a big fight. Him turning into this huge sort of embodiment of his god. I don't know, it felt a bit more of a thing than the other thing. Die. Oh, what the hell is that? That's not fair. None of these are fair. Oh, am I supposed to figure out what he's doing based on where his claws are? Yes, you are. Do you reckon taking out one of these claws is actually doing anything? What the hell was that? What the hell is that? Stop with these attacks. Stop it. 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 Oh, you can't just destroy one claw. They both do the same thing. Okay. It's dead. Ooh, nightmare mode 2 done, baby. Nah, we're not continuing. We won. That's one down. Pistol done. Shotgun done. Sniper rifle. Let's bring it on. I know I'm probably going to do bad after saying this, but I am a bit more confident when it comes to the sniper rifle. When in this specific game, in every other game, I would pick shotgun every time because I can't aim for anything. Do we do wind up strike? I don't think we do. I don't think we want any of these, really. This one wants you to do multiple attacks. This one, I guess, doesn't want you to do... What are the other things with this? They explode. Fire rate increase. Ring of fire. Let's go burn. Boom. Boom. I don't like that the sniper rifle takes 2 shots. You can't expect the sniper rifle to take 1 shot. It is a sniper rifle. God, the damage over time from the sniper rifle is not a lot, in fairness. Enemies outside your vision move slower and take More damage. No. As much as that actually probably would get some use at this exact moment, I'm good, thank you. Fire rate and bullet speed. Yeah, I'll take fire rate and bullet speed. We might actually go, like, doubling our shots. But actually, I say that. When you have it, when it's doing the, what do you call it? Like, the cone shape? Like going like that, the shots. It's not actually that good. I find it harder to actually aim when it's that one. You definitely didn't hear that. Shrapnel seems decent. Because we definitely need some form of AoE. And I don't rate piercing is on its own as a good AoE. I feel like last time we played, we aced the first one and then failed every other one. Which I'm not going to say is going to happen now, but, like, it wouldn't be surprising if that happened now. You know what I was thinking about the other day that feels like it was a fever dream, but I think it actually happened? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if I've just made this up, or it's like a Mandela effect thing. Wasn't there a cartoon that came out that was all about, like, I feel like it was regular humans and cartoons and, like, effectively, like, the divide between them and, like, the not hatred, but, like, the borderline racial, trying to figure out how to specifically say this. There's borderline sort of like tension between them. And I swear in it had like a bunch of characters that were vaguely from video games. And then like Rayman was like a major villain. Turned like anti-hero or something. And I swear, I swear this happened. I swear that there was a scene in it where he's like, he's a news reporter, and like he's got this like scantily clad lady who I believe was like some sort of she was some sort of animal person, I think, maybe a cow person, and he's eating like sushi off of them, or like smoking cocaine off of them or something. I'm like, I swear I'm not making this up, but I swear that there was some sort of cartoon like that. I think it only got one series, but like I swear it had Rayman in it, and I don't think it was like I don't think it was one of those ones where it's like it's definitely they've thought it was, they've put someone who looks like Rayman, but it's not actually Rayman. I think it was like straight up him. And if that's true, it's like, it is so weird looking at these sort of like household names that for the longest time people would put in like the same breath as like Mario and Sonic, right? As these kind of names of like, oh, these are the brands everyone knows about. These are like the mascots of companies. And then like seeing how Mario is still up there as like, this is a mascot of a company. And then some of them have just sort of like disappeared from the public like perception. Like, you remember Crash Bandicoot? He might actually, based on like the people that use Twitch, it actually might be before your time, but like on average. But like, he used to be a huge name. He used to be in there with like with the Marios of the world, with the Sonics. It used to be him, and it used to be him and Spyro. And there was this huge, like, there was Spyro the Dragon, right? The thing is, these kinds of mascots, they weren't just on one console. They actually transcended consoles. So, like, for example, I swear I played a DS game that had both Crash Bandicoot and Spyro in it, and it was this huge thing back in the day. It was like, holy damn, both of them are in this? But they're supposed to be like different brands. They're not supposed to, like, it was like the, I guess it's not even modern day. It was like the, just before like Mario and Sonic of the Olympic Games came out. This was like the precursor of like two mascots getting together to be in the same game kind of thing. And they used to be huge. They used to be like this big, they were the big thing, you know? But like now, I remember, the last thing I remember of Spyro was that technically he was a Skylander. Because there was that whole thing, I don't know if you remember a while back, but like, there was these things called Skylanders. And it was this whole gimmick of, you got this, I think it was on multiple consoles, this. You had this like little machine that you connected to your console. And it was like this little stand. They were effectively amiibos. These were the precursors to amiibos. But yeah, you used them in games, but you bought like the little action figures in real life that you put on the stands and then they would work. And I remember getting Skylanders because they were a big thing when I was in like primary school, I think. And I remember that having Spyro in it. And the thing is with it was that it became, Skylanders did really well actually. Skylanders made several more of those. And they for all accounts, because they were making so many of them, they must have been doing particularly well, right? And they always had a gimmick whenever they came back, kind of thing. But every time I feel like they did one of those, they cared less about the fact that Spyro was in it. Like the original one, I swear, was like Spyro Skylanders, or like he was the major part of it, and like he constantly was mentioned by name, and he was part of the story, and like that was a big thing. He was in it. And then it was like Skylanders, but Spyro, like the next one was like Skylanders, and obviously Spyro was still prominent there, but they sort of taken his name off of it, and like he was mentioned less in the actual story, and then it was just like Skylanders, but then he wouldn't be at the front anymore in the next game, and like it felt like they slowly got rid of his importance because they didn't need him. Like his name didn't mean anything anymore. Like they were just using him for his name recognition, and then as soon as the game did well and they didn't need that anymore, they just sort of like got rid of him. I'm sure that's just me like trying to verbalize what actually happened, which was something completely different. But in my head, that's what happened. In my head, it's just like that was the last time we ever saw Spyro. And I think there was a show. I think there was a Skylanders show at one point. And Spyro was one of the major characters in that. But he never got to that level again, I feel like. He never got to the level he used to be at. And then, like, the show, because I was in that phase of, with cartoons where I wasn't watching them a ton at this point. I was sort of, like, phasing that out of my life, but I still kept like a side eye on sort of like what the cartoons were doing. And I believe that show had Crash Bandicoot in it. I believe that they had him come specially into one of the episodes, and they made a whole thing of like Spyro knows who this person is because they've done stuff before and everything, blah 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 blah. But yeah, it was it very much felt like, oh no, that they don't need Spyro anymore, and they only used him for that thing because it was like a, I don't know, maybe it would get the... they realized that at that point, the people who cared about Spyro were actually the people that would be putting their kids to watch stuff at that point, you know? And then Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot's gotten a bit more use. I mean, he hasn't gotten a game. Like, I feel like in terms of a new game, Spyro technically got the newer one more recent. If you count the Skylander games as his games. He that went until... I feel like it ended like 7 or 8 years ago. But like 7 or 8 years ago compared to a new Crash Bandicoot game, I feel like was like 10 to 15 years ago kind of thing. But in terms of like a not new game, I believe they remade the first sort of 3 Crash Bandicoots as on like the latest PlayStation console, if I'm correct. I was thinking about the sort of like the perception of those games, because everybody who plays harder games will be like, everybody who plays those old games will be like, oh, they were harder than, you know, modern stuff. And like to a certain extent, they're completely correct. But I feel like it wasn't that they were actually hard, more so than some games. I believe that the big thing was that there was like, they weren't very generous when it came to saving, right? So like they were probably on the level of like the average game that you play on maybe like normal, in my opinion. But the saving was at the level of like effectively what a challenge run would be, where it's very much like, oh no, don't get any... It's like if you were playing a game and you put this artificial thing on yourself of like, I'm not going to pick up any save points except for these major ones. So you know how like a lot of games will have like, they'll have a save point and then they'll have like, that's like a major save point, and then you'll have like the smaller save points, kind of like you know, in Elden Ring they've got the save points, which are the bonfires obviously, and then there's the Shrines of Merkel, which effectively are these like save points that are outside of bosses that just allow you to immediately go back into the boss, right? Those kinds of things I feel like just weren't a thing in the older games, and that's the reason why it feels so bad. Because when people show how hard the older games are, I'm like, that seems annoying if as soon as I failed on it, I'd have to complete the whole like level again to get to that point again. But if I was given enough tries and I could just sort of save state it to when the start of that thing happens, I reckon I could do that eventually. And the hard stuff they're showing, like, it's normally optional. It's normally things you got to do for 100%. And when I think of those kinds of things, I'm like, well, Yeah, but like if I was trying to 100% a modern game, I feel like there'd be a very similar thing going, right? There would be a very similar problem where there'd be this incredibly strong part of the incredibly like strong enemy or incredibly hard part of the game that would keep me going for a while. I don't know. I'm not saying they're not hard, because obviously they're hard. Okay, I just walked into that guy, assuming he was already gonna die. I'm not saying they're not hard, I just feel like they're not to the level that everybody says they are. Like, I feel like when you look at some of the games that are, in this day and age, made to be challenging, they're, like, notably more challenging than this. In my opinion. But, again, this is coming from Baby's first, Mr. Baby difficulty guy. Mr. I will gladly play on easy. In fact, I'm doing that in the latest sort of Pokemon fan game I'm playing at the moment. I've just gone, I think I'm just going to play on easy, just so that I can use whatever Pokemon I want, even if the damage types make no sense, and it means that I have a strong weakness to X or Y. I don't care. I want to play 7 blimmin' grass types, all with a weakness to poison. You know, if I want to play that, I'm going to do it. God, I will say, although my favourite Pokemon game will always be Platinum, the Black and White series will always be a close second. I think they do such a good job. I think it was kind of, I'm not going to say hated, because I refuse to believe that really any Pokemon game is hated. But, I think they weren't as well liked, because it was kind of a soft reboot of the game. There wasn't any memorable repeats that had come back. But I really liked it. I really liked the aesthetic. I really liked the story. The fact that we went back to it in the second game was also a really cool thing. Because it was like, oh, stuff has happened. You know, like people have gotten older. You know, people have aged. People have, like, gone from kids to literally adults and are now, like, got a job and everything. You're like rivals, or I don't even know if you'd call them rivals, like your friends from the game had like grown up. One had become like a gym leader, the other one had become a Pokemon professor. Like, oh, they've grown up, they've done stuff. It makes me wonder. That game made me wonder about a lot of things, actually, about the world of Pokemon. Because you got your champion, you got your rival, who is like this it's supposed to be this thing equal to you, and is like constantly getting stronger and stronger, stronger and stronger with you, and is like adapting his team and making the best team he physically can. And then you see him in the game after the time skip, and he's just sort of become a normal type gym leader. And I'm like, what happened to your other Pokemon? Did you you weren't even rocking normal types near the end of the game. Well, actually, you might have had that dog. You might have still had Herdier or whatever his name was. Ah, damn it. I thought I was doing okay there. But like, you had like, you weren't a normal type team when we were fighting you. So, like, in that world, do you just decide, I'm going to specialize into this type? Or do they give it you when you become a gym leader? They're like, okay, you want to be a gym leader? Fine. Well, you can't get rid of... You got to get rid of that varied team. You have to stick to a type. Because for the longest time, I was like, oh, these are just people that... Like, it's not normal for people to have access to so many different Pokemon throughout their life. And so people have just specialized into a specific group so that they can capture stuff. And that's why the gym leaders are all specialized into one type. It's because it's normal for people to find their sort of groove and stick with it, you know? But, like, that game came out and I was like, well, that actually doesn't make any sense. Because, like, he had his groove. He had very powerful Pokemon. I don't remember in that game if they do the whole thing where your champion becomes the, your, like, rival becomes the champion. I don't think they do. But, no, I am actually confident they don't. Because it's Aldo, isn't it? And then it becomes Iris later on because I guess the show. I don't know. But yeah, it's like he has a very powerful team that is able to get to the point of being able to, if he wanted to, challenge for the champion. So I'm like, what's happened here? And also that actually brings up a good point now that I brought that up. Iris goes from being a dragon type gym leader to the champion. So did she just decide to challenge with her team that she was like making on the side? That was just a more balanced team that wasn't dragon based? And then became the champion and went, right, now I can fully go into this. Because that's a bit weird. Does that mean that she never actually specialized in dragon types? And was just doing that for the money? I don't remember this song at all. Well, no, I remember the backing bit, but I don't remember the ooh, ooh, ooh. Shrapnel, which kills and gets an additional one, which deals 50% of the damage, stacks up to 5 times. Sure, why not? I need more fire rate, and I need it yesterday. But yeah, it's it was always a bit weirded out from that. But I didn't mind it really, because if I'm being completely honest, I just love the game in general. And seeing N again, N was such a cool villain. I really do want to try at some point to do a Pokemon fan game on the stream. The problem I've got is I never know if I'm gonna like, especially with these fan games, because from experience I've been playing a fair amount of them now. It's very hit or miss if I'm gonna like them. Whether I'm gonna like the story, whether I'm gonna like the difficulty, whether I'm gonna like the mechanic they've decided to add. Whether it's a new type, or whether it's a different way of battling, or like whether I'll even like the new Pokemon. That's never been a problem. But I have been annoyed with like the new... No, I haven't been annoyed with new types. I've been annoyed with mechanics before. Because they've been mechanics that imply like you know how to do EVs, IVs, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know this stuff. I never needed it. I just used my level 70 whatever Venusaur to blimmin' blast through every enemy using Giga Drain. Well, like, I had my Torterra at level 70 whatever, and I just spammed Earthquake. 'Cause that's just what I did back in the day. I feel like that's what a vast majority of people did. But they were just like, I'm going to boost up my, most of the time, starter with as much as I physically can. And then I probably just also have maybe the legendary that you get. So most of the time, like your Giratina, your blimmin' Zekrom, you know, those kinds of things. By the way, I didn't realize until I was just sort of shown something on Facebook that those sort of boxed legendaries, they straight up knock everything out of the water in terms of like the amount of sort of like stats that they have. Like they're always in like the top 10. The top 10 is like Mewtwo. It's like Mewtwo, Mew. I'm not even sure about Mew. I'll take Mew away. In terms of stats, it's like Slacking by technicality because it's slacking and, you know, it has that horrendous ability. There's like Regigigas because it also has an horrendous ability, but it's slightly lower than Slacking because it's not as bad. It just means you're guaranteed to go second on like the first 2 turns that you have. Which, I mean, if you just don't focus into speed, I guess it's not too bad, or use priority moves. And then, like 3 through to 10 are all just sort of like... Well, it's Mewtwo, and then a bunch of box legendaries. Like, I never thought, because of the whole thing with power creep and everything, I never thought for a second that blimmin', what's his name? Like Kyogre and Groudon would be like up there in the top 10 in terms of raw stats. But they are. And that's like pre-using the primal forms. I imagine primal forms are just like, oh no, they've become insane. Because doesn't primal Groudon add like a sun that destroys water moves? And then I don't remember what Kyogre's was, because I never picked Sapphire. I was a blimmin' Ruby guy through and through. Until Emerald came out, and then obviously Rayquaza was by far the best looking cool one. But like, I say that, there was a portion of me that like, it's always going to be like, but let's just not pick the one that's always a dragon plus X type, you know? I kind of want to pick damage, but do I pick fire rate? Nah, it's got to be damage. But yeah, I do wish they do more like powerful legendaries that aren't just always dragon plus something, you know? I like dragon. Dragon's a cool type. Especially now it's like slightly less powerful because fairy type exists. Which I was initially like... I'm not going to say I was negative on fairy type existing. I think I was exactly neutral, maybe teetering on like, why is this here? But I mean... When I heard the fact that, like, oh, you can just sort of choose, like, Fae and Fairy Tales, and that's effectively what Fairy is. Which I know people are going to be like, well, obviously, it's Fairy, Fae, they're almost the same word. In fact, if you were saying something is a bit Fae-like, you might say something that sounds vaguely like the word Fairy. Fae-y? You know? But like in my head, based on what was like seen of the fairy type, especially early on, my headcanon was just, well, my head was like, oh, it's the cute type. It's just what the ones that look really cute go into. You know, it had like Jigglypuff, it had like Chansey, it had like Azumarill, and you're just like, well, they're just the cute types. Let me read these. Enemies are still visible for 3 seconds after spawning. No. Bullets will create 2 extra bullets with half the damage and size when hitting an enemy. Doesn't work against bosses and stacks up to 3 times. Maybe. Piercing 3 enemies with a bullet will instantly... Nope, we're picking the exit wound. It works with my build. But, like, that's what it always felt like. It felt like, oh, it's the cute type. And then some of the, like, the more, like, fairy dark, fairy... To a lesser extent, like, fairy fighting and all these other ones came out. And you're like, oh, it's not just cute. It's more than just cute. You know, there's more to it than just that. I don't need piercing rounds. I don't need lower fire rate. None of these are good. I know this increases fire rate technically, but I don't want my bullet damage going down because I want to be able to at least one-shot everything. I could get this. It gives me bullet damage and fire rate. I may as well. I don't particularly like clone sentries because I don't like any versions of having to aim. More so than what I'm already doing. But yeah, like, I've grown to like fairy type. What's weird was I never had that problem with steel type. Steel type was great. Always has been. Ow! Ow again! Oh no, that thing's gonna kill me. The thing's gonna kill me. Slow them down. God, I need more damage. I need a load more damage. I don't know how I get more damage. I feel like I've used a lot of it. You know, for the longest time, because I haven't gone back and played Black and White much since it came out. Which I know is like, wait, didn't you say it's your favorite? It was when it came out. But I just don't go back and play those ones because they're like 2 consoles back, you know? Unless I can get an emulator that works, which I'm sure I can. But almost every game that you're playing is playing using the Fire Red or Emerald sort of like model because for one, I love that style. But for 2, it's the most easily modded. Especially when you're adding in like unique stuff, it's really easy to do. In comparison, obviously it's never an easy job, and I'm not just going, oh yeah, all those people that do it, it's freaking easy. I can't believe they ever complain. I'm saying like comparatively. Bullet damage? It's not fire rate and it lowers fire rate. Die! Wait, does it pierce? Is this pierce? You have to tell me if it's piercing you. It is piercing you. Die! Stop shooting lasers at me! I remember back in the day when you didn't have the ability to shoot anything. Shooting wasn't a thing except for the red attacks. The red sort of circles and crescent moons that keep shooting at me. They were a thing, sure, and we liked them. I will say I find it very, very weird that there's like... I know why they didn't do this, but I do find it weird that there's projectiles and then there's the thing they put on the ground. And the fact that like you can get projectile based like upgrades that mean that you don't have to worry about projectiles as much. Oh god, none of these are good. None of these are real. I need damage. No, none of these are good. This is speed, not damage. This is technically damage. I need more damage. I need more damage. Die. I need more damage. I need more damage. I need more damage. I need more damage. I need more damage, or I need more speed. Frankly, I need both. But yeah, as I was saying, sorry, before I got sidetracked, that previous song was used so often in like shorts and TikToks and stuff. And I didn't realize that it was from that game until, I'll be completely honest, just now. Like, I was planning for a second there to just go like, I'll just blag and say that it was only a few years ago, and, you know, try and save a bit of face. And then I realized I've said much more annoying things than that. I have not really much of a face to actually save in that aspect. Enemy projectiles, no. Movement speed, XP range. Oh god, none of these are what I want. This technically gives me damage, but I don't have the fire rate really for this to be ever any good. I guess I'll take movement speed, because that is one of my problems. Okay. So my plan now is to shoot the the biggest enemy, while trying to dodge all the other attacks coming in from the other enemies, and collecting as much XP as I physically can to get more damage. This plan is horrendous, but it's the only plan we have. No, we shouldn't be doing that. Circle light will freeze. That's okay. Do I pick this up? It lowers my damage, obviously, but this ups my vision. What does it go into? Spawn every 4 seconds. I do return the chance to try projectile created from other upgrades. I don't think that's useful. Circle light, fire rate. This kind of does buff my damage if you think about it. No, because both of them have to hit for it to buff my damage, and that's actually not going to happen much. You know? This technically gives us... I like this. Not because I actually think it's particularly powerful, but I think having more... seeing stuff coming is at least going to increase my survivability. It's not what we want. We want damage, obviously. But it's a nice, like... I guess ancillary upgrade? Is that a word? If I use that correctly? Tertiary? Tertiary might also be the word I'm thinking of. Oh, I almost ran into that guy. I was not looking at the screen. Well, I was looking at the screen, but I wasn't visualizing it. No. I don't want lower... Why does everything lower fire rate? I guess every minute my fire rate's going up, and every minute my damage is going up. So I have that, at least. But I don't rate my chances hugely highly at the moment. By the way, did you guys know? Because this could be my friend just being completely wrong when they said this. But they said it casually enough that I'm willing to believe that they weren't trying to get me with this. You know Avowed, the game that came out that everybody was like, lol, you look at all these things that Oblivion did that you can't even do, and it's like, wow, that was weirdly as if people it was as if people knew it was going to happen, even though they couldn't have known because it hadn't even been. Well, I guess it had been rumored to be in circulation. Anyway, but yeah, did you know that that Avowed game was like technically in the world of Pillars of Eternity? I never caught that as being a thing, and I swear in Pillars of Eternity, because Pillars of Eternity is one of those old style sort of like real time, but you can pause sort of big RPGs. And I remember, like, in the same vein as like the first couple Baldur's Gate games, and I remember playing that, and I remember coming out of it going, God, these classes are really interesting. I'm obviously not smart enough to play this game on this sort of difficulty. And they're not my kind of games, the sort of real time, but you can pause. I prefer just turn based. But this game is really cool conceptually. Incredible damage. No, I'm never standing still. Shooting two enemies with a single triggers radiation. No. I'll take the giant bullet. Because weirdly, for something that buffs damage, it didn't debuff my fire rate. Which I think is very weird. God damn it. God damn it. I thought I had more health as well. Whew. Let me have a little bit of a drink. Let me have a little drink. And think about what's happening here. And also, let me double check if that's true. Yeah, it's from the same world. I've got no idea how that's possible. Because I swear in Pillars of Eternity, there's a lot more interesting variety. And I understand it's like, oh, you can put more into a isometric sort of game like that. But why put them in the same world then? Because you're going to go into one going like, if you know about it being in the same world, you're going to go into one going like, okay, well, I can't wait to play X class. But you can't play X class. Because X class is only in the isometric game. You know? When was this? Is this like a Team Plasma song? It's cool. You know what? I'm going to take Singularity. I never pick this up because I never think it's good. And I'll be honest, I don't really think this is good at the moment either. But it's cool. Oh, and it follows you now. I swear I used to just go out and do nothing. Let's pick up Callisto Current as well. We're going to pick all the things I don't normally pick up. So I'm just going to have a moving death ball around me. That just goes around and finishes everything off for me, which I think is okay. I'm concentrating so hard on moving this singularity. Then in hindsight, I should probably be spending on actually dodging and looking at the screen in closer detail. But you know what? I could be doing that, or I could be having fun. And I'm going to have fun. God, the Callisto one comes out a hell of a lot more. Once been burning me, cool, sure. Die to my incredible ability. I didn't know what to say, if I'm being completely honest there. You know what? If I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna call this? You know how I was talking about before? It's constantly been in my head since I talked about it. The whole thing of like naming each of the ages based on like when I finish my long form RPG. I think what I do, I think I call last sort of stage the confidence, the worry era. So I had the beginner era, which is obviously when I was playing Rogue Trader, and there was obviously a lot of I think there was a lot of teething problems and stuff, you know. There was a lot of not to say there isn't any now, but there was a lot of like really, really big mistakes that were done. Then you've got like the Baldur's Gate era, where it was the biggest problem I had at that point. I'm naming them after my biggest problems, effectively, is my logic. So my biggest problem then was confidence. I was always second guessing myself. I was always like, oh, is this good? Is this bad? I was always like, oh, should I do this? Or should I do this? You know, that kind of thing. And so I think this sort of era, I can't comment on this era, but last era was definitely, I feel like the era of worrying. Hopefully this is the one where I just don't care. Because if I'm being honest, I think I've now been doing it long enough that I've stopped really caring what other people think about it. Now, admittedly, that's probably coming from the fact that I know that there's very likely that the only people that are watching are either my friends or people who are trying to sell me something. And I think even those people have sort of realized now, or maybe it's because I don't put hashtags as much in my tweets anymore. But it kind of feels like even they have realized that I'm not a prime target for them. My target sounds wrong. There's a fair amount of them that's like relatively decent people. Sorry, that's mean. They are decent people that are just trying to find work, you know? Oh no, I told myself out the blooming pedals. Give me a second. This must be when you're dealing with the flying city, surely. Not flying city, flying the castle that comes out of the sky. Okay, we're not doing well with the sniper rifle. Do we maybe try something else and go back to the sniper rifle? What do you guys think? By the way, ignore this money. I didn't realize I had this much money. I've only been playing casually. I really don't like following crosshair abilities. That's mostly probably why I didn't pick Callisto or anything. I could try out Knife. Let's try out Knife. Let's try out a melee build. I haven't done a melee build in ages. Well, no, that's a lie. I tried out the phaser. I haven't tried a melee build in this sort of this patch. And the knife was actually the first one I completed hard mode with. Weirdly. Do-do. It's gonna be harder actually to dodge attacks while being melee. I didn't even think about that, but I guess that's important to figure out. Yes! I need my attacks to be larger so that I can stay further back. Charge shot. Does that even work? It's not around anymore. I'll take this. Because I have pretty fast speed, so maybe radiation's actually the way to go. It does my melee's damage in AoE, which is kind of cool. I love this. What does ricochet mean when it's this? I guess... Oh no, it does say. It does say. It is a weird way of doing quote-unquote ricochet. You know, actually, thinking about the whole... my Wednesday streams and everything, I have considered maybe playing a game that's a bit shorter, in the sense of playing, what's the name of it? Tyranny. A game I've sort of like tried many times, but I figure if I knock it down some difficulty so that I don't ever have that situation where I'm like, oh, I'm not doing very well, therefore I'm sad, therefore I don't want to play anymore. Which, believe me, the amount of games I've done that on, it's like, oh, I've hit a point where it's like mildly annoying. I guess I'm just going to go back to my games that are incredibly easy. Because why would I want to waste my time playing a game that I'm gonna lose at when I can play a game that's I at least reliably win at, you know? Which I know is a bad attitude, and luckily it's not as big of a thing on stream. But then that might just be because Baldur's Gate and Rogue Trader were like kinda easy. Like, I'm not gonna say they're ridiculously easy, but they were kind of easy. I don't think there were many times where I was just like super annoyed because I couldn't complete X or complete Y, you know? I could take this one. Enemies and vision is quite good, but the meteor thing isn't... I'd have to go over to where the meteor is, right? I guess that's okay. It's a 5% damage buff if worst comes to worst. It means they get hit by the radiation. I feel like you expect the melee builds to be stronger. You know what? I just want faster fire rate. There feels like there's so many things that lower fire rate, but not that many things that buff it. Maybe I'm completely wrong in that aspect, but it feels like that. Do-do-do. Doodaloo, doodaloo. I feel like my damage is okay against these guys. But maybe that's because I can dodge them easily. Maybe I'd be more pissed off if I couldn't dodge. You know what? Never mind. My damage is horrendous. I feel like I might be biking the wrong way. But I guess as long as I'm doing movements, it's not a real problem, really. Well, you know what's hilarious is I got this thing, and obviously, it has this. It's a really cheap one because I didn't know if I was gonna like it, so I bought a cheap one just to because I didn't want to like waste a load of money on something that I might not actually use. And it's got like all these different modes. One of them is like uh, estimated calories you lose from doing it. But what's weird about it is there's this resistance system, right? But it's not connected to that interface, and so there's no way of knowing. There's no there's no way of knowing what resistance you're at. And so I think it's defaulting to me having it on like the hardest resistance possible. Even though I don't have it on the hardest resistance possible, I have it on, I feel like, one of the lower resistances. Makes me kind of wish I had bought a more expensive one, but how was I supposed to know, you know? But yeah, like, before, I had done, like, maybe 10 minutes just sort of, like, biking casually while looking at stuff. And it was saying something along the lines of, like, you would burn 600 calories. And I was like, I didn't, because I don't really know what calories are. And so I was like, is that good? Is that a lot? And then my mum was like, there is no way you've burned 600 calories. That's literally impossible. That's like an hour. There's like an hour jog. That's there was no way in hell that you've done that. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Okay, maybe this thing's wrong. Maybe this thing's just absolutely wrong. I think I need more range. I think that's the problem with that dagger. I think I need more range. Quick swig of my drink. You gotta keep hydrated. You know how they. You know what they say. Mm. Especially because it's quite warm over here. Not like other countries that are actually warm, but like place that doesn't have any form of like heat preparation because they never really get heat warm, you know? Like I imagine what we consider warm is what most people consider a normal day. But like we don't have any form of air conditioning in the average house that works for like making stuff colder. We've got heaters, we've got boilers. Die. Look at my 10 damage. Ignore the fact I'm one-handing a knife. I'm still very, very powerful. I guess one-handing a knife is not like stupidly out of the ordinary. The average person probably would only one-hand a knife. I think if I can knock this up to being really powerful, then I can start doing that. I can start actually doing the proper damage. Effectively, we want any builds that are all about just repeatedly doing attacks over and over again. Also, I want to get to the later levels to see what actually the dagger has for it. Like, I didn't even check the first upgrade. I probably should have seen if it was width. Because if it was width, I might actually be tempted to start choosing it. By the way, sorry if you keep hearing me hit the desk. That probably is going to happen more in more streams because it's my legs hitting the hitting the top of the desk, because this also doesn't really fit under my desk. And I don't think it's really the problem of this, even though it is quite cheap. I don't actually think it's the problem of this. I think it's the problem of like my desk just not being physically big enough for me to repeatedly do this. Unless it was literally it can't even be a floor one, can it? Maybe I want to get, instead of a pedal, maybe I want to get one of those. Oh no, they'd also be moving my legs up and down. I was thinking like one of those things that goes like goes like this. You do this with your legs. Like, maybe I want one of those. But, like, that's still going up and down. So, like, it's still going to hit my head and hit my knees and stuff, right? My thinking is, like, look, I'm not going to be doing high resistance. I'm not going to be doing, like, incredibly long... I guess I am going to be doing incredibly long sessions. Never mind. But, like, my thinking was, hey, at the very least... At the very least, it's some exercise for my legs that it wouldn't normally be getting, you know? It's never going to be at the levels of, like, actually being functionally doing exercise, you know? Like, I'm never going to hit the averages of what you're supposed to do exercise-wise from this. But I figure it's better than nothing. This is what I wanted. It was the other one. It was. I should have looked. Oh, look how much things I'm killing now that I've started doing that. Do we start taking ricochet? Do we take shrapnel? No. Screw shrapnel. And luckily, I don't think it really comes across... Hold on a second, let me stop talking and see if I can hear it on this. No, even the squeaking doesn't come through. So yeah, I probably am going to start doing this a hell of a lot more. When streaming, when casually just sitting down, frankly. Although I do need to maybe put some tape on one of these sides so it doesn't hurt me every time I'm doing it. An enemy causes them to take more demons. Sure. Take more damage. Take more damage. Take more damage. Oh god, it doesn't add up a lot, and it takes a while to do anything. Oh no, that was my own mistake. I focused too much into the bleed because I thought it was good. Here, up my damage a bit. This is to counteract the lowering of damage that I did unintentionally. By unintentionally, I mean completely intentional. But, like, unintentionally made myself weaker. I do like that with the new enemies, it's become increasingly obvious that, like, oh no, these are just... These are just blimmin', what's the word? These are just insects. So either we've been shrunk down in a Honey, I've Shrunk the Kid situation, or we are in a situation where they have grown. And I kind of... Obviously, them growing is probably the preferred situation to us shrinking. Because at the very least, then we have access to tools, right? But I guess if we shrink, we're not dooming the world. We're just dooming ourselves. So the selfless thing would probably be to say that you got shrunk. But I'm not selfless. I'm very selfish as a person. Anyone who knows me knows this. Are these considered bosses, you reckon? Do you reckon we're not... I actually think we were doing well there. I actually think we were doing okay. I don't know what... We're trying again. We're trying again. We have to try again. If we only get one today, then we only get one today. But we have to try for more. And we're definitely picking that #1 upgrade again. Because that one's huge. We're resetting. If I'm taking damage at the very start, there's no point in continuing. There's one. God, have you ever had an obsession that you've had to like spend every waking second not trying to not obsess, like try to not obsess with it because you know that it'll like pressure people in your people in your friends group to also obsess with it? Because that's been my weekend to a certain extent. Luckily, I think I've kept it kind of in check, so it's not a huge thing. But needless to say, it was what I was thinking about all through my my break today. Was this topic? I'm not even gonna say it out loud because I don't want to even like have the chance that one of my friends is watching and I infect them with my obsession. So I'm just gonna casually skirt around it, but by just saying I was obsessed with it though. I was I was getting to the point of being too obsessed with it. By the way, I don't know if any of you guys were and if anyone's like, hold on a second, why are you saying you guys, implying there's anybody watching when there's probably no one watching? I'm going to go under the assumption I have people so that I get into the mindset of it. That's my logic. I don't know if there's any what's the word? Validity to it, but that's my logic. So yeah, I don't know if you guys were watching Baron Zarko Bell's Dark Heresy uh game that I'm in. But the last episode of that I had a ton of fun with. Ton of fun with. I really liked the kind of hints at backstory that we did via the Chaos Visions. I thought it was such a good way of like simultaneously having it be like, what's the word? Having it both be like seamless, not just like a random flashback, but also be able to show more bits of like other people's characters. Because I mean, it fundamentally made me change how I thought about Down, for example. Whereas before, I just saw him as this sort of like old veteran-y character that was a bit so a bit of a stickler for the rules compared to us. Then you hear this whole backstory, and then like you hear the names of his servo schools, and you're like, oh, they're probably, yeah, they're probably related, aren't they? And yeah, and ooh, they were probably like, oh, they're safe. Actually, we'll turn them into servitors. They're technically alive. But good luck ever having a freaking conversation with them. There's only one that still can remember what it's doing, and that one's an absolute having an absolute nightmare at the moment. That was just like a freaking horror story. Do 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 do. But yeah, it was really fun. I had a ton of fun with it. I messaged him later and just went, thank you for the session. That was just incredibly good. Because, I mean, it was probably the most fun I've had in one of the sessions. I need to reach to get the things. I need to put my feet back in the machine. I need to. It's my very brief obsession at the moment. I don't even know if you can hear me over it. Like, it's saying that you can hear me, but like I don't know how it was getting I don't know how voice was traveling to it. Does that make any sense? Okay, now we're back. I'm still a bit nervous about our damage in this one. I really think that radiation is the way to go in terms of to get the AoE. If I combine that with just having a great vision cone, then maybe it would be really good. But we'll see. Movement speed isn't needed. Shrapnel isn't needed. This might be needed just for more damage. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. I was always so they're always so interesting, but that one was quite interesting. I think it worked to just make all of our characters feel a bit more fleshed out. I always like getting those kinds of sort of like, what's the word? I always like being asked questions of like, hey, what would your character's X be? Like, what would their bit fear be? What would they do in their free time? You know, these like sort of like inconspicuous, is that the word? Inconspicuous? Yeah. Like questions that just sort of flesh out the character a bit more. I think they're always good. It's always like how, you know, as much as everyone likes the action, or at the very least I like the action, a lot of the times you find that the best episodes of like a show or a TTRPG or something, like it's normally the sessions where nothing's really happening. People are just talking, but like they're talking in character about maybe needless things, or maybe things that are like only tangentially related to what's happening. Okay, I have lost all but one of my health. If I can kill this person, I get some redemption. But yeah, like they're talking about completely unrelated things, but it's just in character, and so you're learning a lot more about their character. A lot of the times, those are the best episodes. Oh, I thought I was close enough. Come on. Referee. Yeah, we've got about 7 minutes left. So what do we want to do for these 7 minutes? Because we can't get a game in, because games take about half an hour if we win. And we would win. How are the leaderboards looking? How am I looking on the leaderboards? I swear I was there for a second. Am I not there? Surely they showed the leaderboard. Wait, hold on a second. Surely they would show me. Personal, I must be here. I must be somewhere here then, right? Neither of these people are me. How do I see my score? Yeah, look at that. That's me. So I am around here. Oh, Jesus, look at these scores. I think I'll stay near here. I like how this person put a TM in their name, you know? I don't even know how you'd put that in a name. Wait, hold on a second. If I look at my score, I'm on 606, so I'm not even in this rank. Oh, no, I am. I'm like... Hold on a second. Why is it showing there and not showing, like, me? I should be, like, rank over here. 109... What is it? 109, 12. 109, 12. 109, 12, 109, 12, 109, 12. Sorry about this. I have to remember it. And so I have to repeatedly say it. There, I'm right here. I've beaten Raim, by a solid 1,300 blimmin' points. Bet you're that incredibly jealous of what I've done, surely. Look, all I'm saying is, at the very least, I am beating 12,000 other people. Bare minimum, I'm beating 12,000 other people. Which is a pretty cool thing to say. Why does it start here? I don't understand the logic of why it starts here. Anyway, I think I'll call it here. I know we've got 5 more minutes, but like, I want to leave it in a place that makes sense, and I feel like I would just go over if I didn't do this. So we'll call it here. Until I see you on, I hope you have a good couple of days. I'll see you on Wednesday for the new mystery game. It's not going to be a mystery. It's probably going to be in the title of my tweet, and it'll be obviously the header. Like, it'll say what game it is on in the thing there. I forget what it's called. What's it called? The category. I'll be in the category of the thing. So it's not that big of a deal. I'll see you on Friday for FF14. Definitely the final episode of the main story. Patch quests might still be going. I don't know how many patch quests they have. I think they've done 2 releases of patch quests at the moment, which probably means that they're done with the Dawn Trail specific ones, and the next batch will be getting you ready for the next expansion, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. But if I don't see you then, hope you have a good week. Hope you've had a lot of fun seeing this. Hope I haven't been too awkward and too tired, but I am both of those, so I'm very sorry about that. But I am confident. We're in the confident age. But until I see you again, bye, 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 bye.